So today in the classroom, we're going to be talking about the lymphatic system. Do you know what the lymphatic system is all about? You know, it's probably the most neglected organ. I don't even know if it's an organ or if it's a system. We're going to learn everything because we have the expert. Dr. Jennifer Gramith is the person who trains all these other lymphatic system experts. Well, the buck stops with her. So we're going to continue. We're going to make sure you fasten your seatbelt today because we are going to learn and grow together. So here we go.
The Lillian McDermott Show.
We love, we fear, bridges we burn, we make mistakes, then we live and learn. When life gets tough, and it seems like your best ain't good enough. If you're in need of hope, you know where I'll be. I'll be right here, right here. And when you need a friend, you can count on me. I'll be right here, waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening and my viewing friends in the classroom at facebook.com/Lillian's Radio Show. I am so glad we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful best day ever. And for those of you who are tuning in for the first time, because you know we have a very special guest, please know we've been waiting for you. This is a safe place where you can go to when you need a friend. It is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal, and it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, the last time Dr. Jennifer Gramith, she's a naturopathic doctor, was in the classroom, she was with Dr. Michelle Schrader. And the two of them combined, we talked about past traumas and how to help you deal with these past traumas. And I am really excited to learn more as we go along with Dr. Schrader. But she introduced me to Dr. Jennifer Gramith, and the two of them are a mighty team. But today we have Dr. Gramith because she is going to help us understand the lymphatic system that is totally neglected in our body. And it is such an important organ. I don't know, I keep saying organ, but we're going to find out whether if it's an organ or not, or a system, or, you know, who knows. But today, she is going to help us because she's the one that trains all these other doctors or specialists or clinicians to help you learn and release all the toxicity from your lymphatic system. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am so grateful that Dr. Jennifer Gramith is here to do just that. Welcome, Dr. Gramith, to the Lillian McDermott Radio Show classroom.
Thank you, Lillian. It is such a pleasure and an honor for me to be here. I always enjoy our conversations. And so I thank you for that great introduction. I am very, very passionate about the lymphatic system. And you were right, it does have organs as well, but it is a system of the body. Much like your cardiovascular system, it actually piggybacks the cardiovascular system. So as we go through this classroom, we're going to talk about mostly the lymphatic system, but keep in the back of your mind that when we talk about impacting the lymph, we are indirectly impacting the cardiovascular system as well and many other systems of the body. And so I always like to tell my patients and clients that the lymphatic system is, if you were building a house, you're going to start with a foundation, correct? That's
Absolutely.
the lymphatic system. If you start with the lymphatic system, everything else goes together very nicely, and you have no problem, and the house stands strong. And the lymphatic system, just like you said, it's been so ignored from traditional mainstream medicine. Back when I was a nurse in oncology, cardiology, and internal medicine, I knew very little about it. But I realized too that we really didn't discover it into the early 1900s. So we haven't had, a long period of understanding about the lymphatic system. And so that is why most of your doctors, most of your nurses, they don't know a whole lot about it either. And so I'm here to share with you my knowledge. I've been studying the lymphatic system and immunology for over 20 years now.
Wow.
And I am in love with this system because out of this system, you can battle all chronic disease and acute disease. And we'll talk about that because I know there's a lot of scare right now with the coronavirus. And I'm going to talk about how you can protect yourself from things like that.
Perfect. It's interesting because, we know that the heart has a pump and we know that there's a circulation system there. But when we look at the lymphatic system, what moves it? What makes it? So what is the purpose of the lymphatic system? Let's start from the very beginning. The purpose of the lymphatic system and why we neglect it so much. Why don't we know enough about it?
Okay. So the purpose of your lymphatic system is twofold. Most of us think about our lymphatic system as our detox system. It pulls toxins out, their garbage disposal or a garbage can. And so it's designed to get rid of the toxins so they don't build up and lead to chronic disease. But what most people don't know, it is the very system that bathes every cell in the body with nutrients. And so I always give an analogy of the immune system because people get confused with the immune system and the lymphatic system. Okay. So the immune system, if you think about it like this, is like your soldiers, your army of defense. Your lymphatic system is the vehicle that carries those soldiers to the battleground. So just think about it like this. If your soldiers are compromised, they can't see what's in front of them, this is autoimmune disease. They can't recognize anything. And so they start attacking self because they can't see. That is caused from a compromised, congested lymphatic system. And so what we're going to talk about is how you can decongest that system. Now, the reason so many people have a significant degree of congestion in their lymphatic system is because we live more sedentary lives. That's one thing. But it's the environmental toxins that we're exposed to. And none of us are free from that. We can't live in a bubble. Even if you're eating as clean as you can, you walk outside, you're going to have exposures to these known endocrine disruptors and known carcinogens among everything else. And then stress. Stress instantly triggers inflammation in the body that causes your lymph system to become congested. And so that makes the lymph fluid, instead of the fluid looking like water, where it's easily transportable through the lymphatic system, it will change consistency to more of a butter consistency, and then even cottage cheese, and then even hardening, and that's fibrosis. And so there's different stages of lymphatic congestion. Now, you're right, the lymphatic system doesn't have an automatic pump like the circulatory system, like the heart. It has an angion, it's called a lymphangion, that's wrapped around the collectors that when you exercise and you get moving, it will cause a contraction and move the lymph. So exercise is crucial to a strong functioning lymphatic system. And so, that's something. And then some other things that you can do are deep breathing. But one thing people think is that if I just do the dry brushing, that's going to be enough. Okay, 70% of your lymphatic system is directly underneath the skin. So that sounds like, wow, 70%, I'm covering most of it, right?
Yeah.
But the 30% that is deep lymphatics holds 80% of your immune system.
Whoa. So can you repeat that again?
So 70% of your lymphatic system is directly under the skin and can be activated through manual massage and dry brushing.
Yes.
But that 30% that's left over contains or holds 80% of your immune response.
Wow.
And so that's in the deeper lymphatics, in the gut, in the axillary, and the inguinal. And you can't reach that with manual therapy. And so we're going to talk about the XV2 and how you can reach that, because as a practitioner, that is vital. If I'm trying to help a patient overcome chronic illness or even acute, you're going to have to be able to stimulate the immune response quicker and quicker.
You know, it's interesting because, you know, if we have a runny nose, we know that there's allergies. If we have a cough, or maybe we have certain conditions, you know that, oh, it's a cold, or it's a flu, or whatever. But when it comes to the lymphatic system being clogged or something wrong with the lymphatic system, what are some of the symptoms people can experience?
So you said most of them.
Oh,
so
okay.
when you have a congested lymphatic system, that is when you start developing allergies and sensitivities to your environment and the food that you are eating.
Interesting.
Yeah. So with a decongested lymphatic system, you don't have allergies and sensitivities to your environment or foods. Any inflammatory process in the body is a sign of congestion in the lymphatic system. So whether it's headache, it's muscle aches and pains, it's dysbiosis, any inflammatory process in the body is connected directly, if not indirectly, to the lymphatic system. And so decongesting that will help those symptoms to subside.
Wonderful, wonderful. Okay, so I want to remind anyone who is watching today, because part of coming into the classroom and being a part of the audience, you get to ask questions. If you want to ask a question, type in a Q, because sometimes you guys make comments and we want to hear where you're from. So type in a Q, and that's the only way I know who you are, what you're doing, and write your question right after that. And that way, we can ask Dr. Gramith, how frequently do you get to stand in front of an expert and ask questions for free? And these teachers in the classroom give of their time, give of themselves, and they're there for you as well. So this is our classroom. Take advantage of it. So with that in mind, Dr. Gramith, there's sometimes preparation that needs to happen. Like before a fast, we need to, because you just finished doing a 10-day fast, right?
Yes. Yeah, a few weeks
ago. It seems like a long time ago, but I remember the last time we saw each other, you were on your 10th day, ready to go on a cruise.
Yes.
How did that go? But
I didn't come down with the coronavirus.
That's true. That's good. That's good. And I do want to talk about that as well, and how that can help us, lymphatic system can help us protect our immune system.
Right.
So with that in mind, before you started doing your fast, you probably started eating raw and vegan for a while, and then you maybe did some juices, and then you went to the water fast.
Right.
Is there a preparation that we need to know about as we start thinking, okay, we want to start clearing out a lymphatic system? And it's all about responsibility. Not only can you help us as an expert, but how do we help ourselves to start the process to clear out our system? What are the things we are doing, or
right.
that we don't have to do to improve our system?
Well, one thing that you can do is have a healthy diet, and that would include inflammatory foods, anti-inflammatory foods. And so do not do dairy. Dairy is one thing that causes instant congestion. You feel it in your sinuses, the mucus build up, but the way that it causes the thickness in the mucus, it thickens the lymphatic system the exact same way.
Ooh.
And so remember that your lymphatic system is the system that bathes every cell with all the nutrients your body needs. So when you have a congested lymphatic system, you're going to be malnourished. It doesn't matter how many supplements you take or what you eat if you don't decongest the lymph. Now, if you're going for lymphatic therapy and you're still eating McDonald's on the way to the therapy, you're putting back in the body everything that triggers inflammation. And inflammation is your enemy with any chronic disease. I think what people don't realize, Lillian, is that there's over 10 million Americans suffering and 100 millions worldwide from lymphatic diseases. And we think of lymphatic disease as just lymphedema. Oh no, any chronic disease, any autoimmune disease, that is lymphatic diseases. And so whether it's fibromyalgia, neuropathy, cancer, diabetes, heart disease, all of that is tied in to the lymphatic system. And we've seen it through our society, a progression of it getting worse and worse and worse, even though, you know, we're supposed to have the best mainstream medicine, right? It's because they're not trained in how to prevent chronic disease. They're not trained in health and wellness. They are trained in critical care, and they are the best when it comes to critical care. But if you want to be healthy, you've got to change your mindset. So you've got to remember anything that you put on your skin or in your body needs to be clean and anti-inflammatory. Okay, so it's different for each person. You really need to know what foods you're sensitive to, if you're sensitive to any, before you start putting them in your body. And then the lymphatic therapy that I am going to talk about is called assisted lymphatic therapy. And it's where you go in and you see a practitioner. And I have practitioners all over the United States, and we have it in 15 cancer clinics over in Asia now. It is the foundational product, or the foundational modality in my practice. Everyone starts with working on the lymphatic system. Why? That is because if I don't clear out the congestion, I can give them supplements all day and they just don't get absorbed. And so then they have very expensive urine. And I can actually direct their immune system to the battleground by doing assisted lymphatic therapy on them. So let's say they have Hashimoto's disease, and I want to get rid of the inflammation in the thyroid. I can direct their immune system to that area using this technology.
Now, earlier you talked about that the soldiers can't see; they're blind,
right?
And that's why it starts attacking the body.
Right.
Bob, I'm trying to remember his name. Roundtree, Bob Roundtree. He said one time that it's not the body attacking your body. It's not your immune system attacking your body. That what it's doing its job, because some of these toxins have gone into our organs, and this is a way that the immune system is trying to get it out, and it starts attacking itself, because now our own body is a carrier of these toxins. Is that true, or does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. There are some truths to that.
Okay.
But just think about it in the case of cancer. Your immune system can just go right by the tumor. Why is that? Because it's coated with protein. Well, protein is not foreign to the body. And so your T cells, your B cells, your macrophages just swims on by because it can't see that it's a cancer.
It's like a
so there's many, it's cloaked. So there's many times that the immune system just can't see, can't recognize it, and it goes awry. Now, back when I was in nursing school, I was taught that if you had any autoimmune disease, that not to stimulate the lymphatic system because you could spread it, okay? You can make things worse. That is not true. Doing lymphatic therapy actually benefits the patients, and now that's what the medical, the AMA now promote, doing lymphatic therapy to stimulate immune function. They didn't realize that the lymphatic system was the actual structure that held the immune system. Wow. And so we started radically removing lymph nodes from, everywhere. If it showed to be swollen, and that's called adenopathy. If they had swollen lymph nodes and they were diagnosed with cancer, let's just remove everything. They didn't realize your lymph nodes are the very filters that have your T cells, and your T cells are those Marines in the army, and they are there in the lymph nodes trying to destroy the pathogen, the enemy, and that is their job. And when they flood to a lymph node, the lymph node will swell for a period of time. They will attack. Your macrophages will come in. They'll clean up the debris and then move it on out. And so you don't want to destroy the lymphatic system. You don't want to remove lymph nodes if at all possible, because the more that you have, the more filtration you have, and the stronger your immune system is going to be.
Okay, so with that in mind, as you know, I have the McDermott Holistic Healing Foundation, which is all about alternative ways to heal the body, or for the body to return to its natural state, and focusing on different ways instead of chemotherapy, radiation, and surgery, because nobody's chemotherapy or radiation deficient. So with that in mind, one of the things that they do when they're doing chemotherapy and surgery is to remove the lymph node. Am I hearing you say that even if you have cancer in your lymph node, in any part of your lymph nodes, that you should leave the lymph node and remove whatever's toxin is there?
If at all possible. Now, there's going to be some cases where a mass is up against a vital organ that's putting pressure that you have to just remove the mass, and they will remove the surrounding lymph nodes with that. However, that should never, ever be the first step that you take. You should, because like you said, it's not a deficiency of these known carcinogen. Chemotherapy is a known carcinogen, or radiation. And radiation, what people don't realize is that radiation actually turns on your circulating tumor cells, and it guarantees a secondary cancer if you do not shut it off. And they don't tell you that. They do chemo,
How do you shut it off? How do you shut off that?
By getting to the root of the problem and building back up your immune system, decongesting your lymph, and getting the critical nutrients that the body needs to heal itself. And you can't do that with a broken down body that is so frail. And that's typically where they leave the patient at, is they go through the chemotherapy, they have the surgery and the radiation, and that patient has lost 50 pounds or 30 pounds. They're weak, they're frail, their heart is weak, everything. And they just say, good luck. I remember I used to do that too with my cancer patients when I worked in the field of oncology. And I couldn't really understand why we didn't teach them, how to rebuild their immune system once we knocked it down. And so that's why I have, such a passion about the lymphatic system, the immune system, because you cannot win the battle against disease without it, and without it functioning at its maximum potential.
And that is just, I know that there are some of you that are asking questions and making comments. Make sure you start your question with a Q. That way we know it's a question and not just a comment. But Jennifer asked the question. She said, a friend of mine is about to start a course on radiation. Let me get my little magnifying glass. Hold on a second. Okay. And he was diagnosed with cancer. How could this help him? I guess that's help him. Can he get treatment simultaneously as he's doing radiation treatment? Can he do lymphatic? Yes. Okay, what would you recommend there?
Well, so yes, I work with Scottish Rite and with Cancer Centers of America. They send patients to me because my job is to rebuild their immune system. Whether it's doing mainstream chemotherapy, radiation, they still need it if they survive it. Or if it's just natural, they still have to build their immune system. And so I would say, yes, it would benefit him. So how would it benefit him? It would benefit him by boosting his immune system, breaking up the congestion, and getting rid of the debris from the radiation. And I would do it in conjunction with a lot of nutraceuticals like sprouts. Sprouts are really good to pull radiation out of the body.
What kind of sprouts?
They're just different sprouts. One is from American Nutraceuticals.
Oh,
It's
it's the
called
name of the
Stress.
thing. It's not, you're not talking about
Yeah.
actual sprouts.
They are actual sprouts that have been dried and capsuled.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they work really well to pull radiation out of the body. There are other things as well, but you can use it in conjunction with chemotherapy. The only thing with chemotherapy or radiation, you don't do it the day before or the day after, because if they're going to get the therapy, you want to maximize the benefit of the therapy and give it time to work and then clear out the debris. Now, I will tell you that cancer patients who undergo assisted lymphatic therapy while doing chemo and radiation, they do not have the normal side effects from the chemo and radiation, because we are boosting their immune system and getting rid of the debris so it doesn't overwhelm it quite so much. And the body, for some reason, they don't lose their hair as much, their nails, their eyelashes and brows.
Interesting. So as you're talking about cancer and Jennifer's asking about cancer, my mind is going, okay, I need to do this because I thought that I could clear out my immune system or my lymphatic system by rebounding or exercise or I call it the 3 Ps: peeing, pooping, and perspiration. So those 3 things that, excuse me if I'm a little bit graphic here, but I thought if I do that, I'm like taking care of my lymphatic system. Do I need more? Because you said 70% is on the skin, but the deeper stuff, how do you take care of that?
Right. It depends on the amount of congestion that you have. So Lillian, you are very healthy, very mindful of the things that you put in your body.
Most of the
And
time, not all the time.
so it depends on the level of inflammation that you have and the congestion, whether it's that butter consistency, cottage cheese, or even a little fibrotic. And so I would not say not everybody needs assisted lymphatic therapy, but anyone dealing with a chronic illness, a chronic disease, those are the ones that need the therapy, because their immune system's functioning about here and their toxic load is here, and it's pushing their immune system down. Now you may have your immune system working here and your toxic load may be right here.
Okay.
And so by rebounding and by eating well and by fasting is excellent to purify the lymphatic system and boost the immune response. You would be fine with just doing that. But if you had, chronic sinusitis, or you had fibromyalgia or rheumatoid arthritis or osteoarthritis or something like that, then I would suggest assisted lymphatic therapy.
Okay. So as my mind is going 100 miles an hour. So if, let's say I wanted to do, maybe I had a chronic condition, is asthma considered an autoimmune condition, or allergies? You said allergies, autoimmune.
Right. Yeah.
So if I wanted to kind of get rid of all my allergies, and just go to, would I need the treatment, the assisted lymphatic treatment, or can I just do more rebounding myself? And how often do I need to do this?
Yeah, so if you're rebounding, and rebounding is actually very beneficial and something I recommend a lot of clients to do. Now, oncology is my specialty, Lillian. So a lot of the times the patients who come in to see me aren't able to rebound. They can barely hold their heads up after chemotherapy and radiation.
Well, they obviously need the assisted.
Right. And so you, on the other hand, or someone like you that's just wanting to get rid of allergies and things like that, rebounding twice a day, 10 minutes a day, and maybe doing assisted lymphatic therapy through a detox program period. Like my detox program is about 6 to 8 weeks when patients come in, and we do testing on them. We see what are the burdens that they're carrying, whether it's mycotoxins, molds, heavy metals, and we start to detox those out of them for that period. I recommend that all clients do that every year, because it's the accumulation of the toxins that lead to chronic disease, not just the exposure. Because we're all going to have the exposure, right?
You take your car, get a tune-up.
Yeah, and during that time, I would suggest doing assisted lymphatic therapy once a week while you're going through the detox protocol, and that should be all that you need. Now, chronic disease would be longer term.
So
maybe
with somebody with cancer, I'm glad that you said that, you know, don't do any treatments a day before and a day after. So that gives them time for the system. You know, the body is so perfect, you know,
Yes.
and it's great that you know how to work with that. So let's talk a little bit about the assisted lymphatics. Is it the
Lymphatic therapy.
therapy? Okay, assisted lymphatics therapy. What is it, and who should use it?
Well, you need to, if you're going to have assisted lymphatic therapy, you need to get a certified therapist. And so I do all the certification here in the United States and overseas as well. But it is a therapy that uses inert gas ionization. Okay, so it uses microcurrent, it uses ozone. There's 3 gases inside this glass tube, that it's argon, krypton, and xenon. Now, argon and krypton gases, when it's excited by electrical current, will decongest lymph. And so if I was to hold it up to, or put it on the body where there's a lot of congestion, and you can, as a practitioner, you can feel the congestion, because when the transmission head touches the skin and hits congestion, it drags, it hardly moves.
Sticky. It gets sticky.
Yeah, very sticky. But when it clears, it's smooth like silk over. So that's how the therapist knows whether they've moved or decongested that area or not. And it's a full body approach. I am also a manually trained lymphedema specialist. And so with manual therapy, the problem that I had was patients were not compliant. Doesn't mean that manual doesn't work, because the manual massage with the wrapping and then the compression garments, it will reduce, if you have lymphedema, it will reduce the size of the extremity. But you have to wear those compression garments the rest of your life. My lymphedema patients will come in once a week versus 4 hours every day for extended period of time. Do this therapy all over the body, and then not have to wear bandages or compression. And so they are very compliant, because manual therapy, it's every day in your practitioner's office. It's about 3 to 4 hours of your day. Getting manual massage, and it's only working on the involved area. It's not a full body approach. And then you get wrapped up and you look like a mummy when you leave there. It's very uncomfortable. Many times by the time they get home and into the evening, the bandages have fallen off. And then the problem lies is when the patient tries to wrap it back up and they create a tourniquet, because there is a specific gradient flow that has to happen. Otherwise, you damage your lymphatic system even more. And so this therapy, they come in once a week for an hour and a half. They get the full body. It's like getting a massage, and it dissolves the congestion or the inflammation. Instead of just moving it, it actually dissolves
it. Because that was going to be one of my questions. Where does it go? Right. Where is it going? Because when you're doing the massage, I don't know, because we talked about this. Well, I said about the 3 Ps, the P, and so with that in mind, and when you're doing that, because I remember you were doing training, and I accidentally gave one of your, it was Michelle. She was getting a treatment, and I touched her, and I like zapped. I got zapped. And I'm like, what the heck? Yes. What is this? So does it hurt when you, because I think I had it once. I think Karen, I think you're around there. I think you did one of those on me. So with that in mind, what is happening to the body, and how does it get rid of it if it's just like sweeping it? Where is it going?
Right. Good. That's an excellent question. And so I'm going to give you a visual. So you have this circulatory system, it's a closed system, right? Mm-hmm. You have the lymphatic system that piggybacks your circulatory system. And so the lymphatic system, it is very close to, if you looked at the lymphatic system, like right behind me, you can see it kind of looks like your circulatory system. With you have vessels. The only difference is that you have nodes, and you have certain organs, like the thymus gland is part of the lymphatic system, the bone marrow part of the lymphatic system. And so what happens is that when you start this therapy, you're going to start at the thoracic or the terminus. And that's the exiting point of the lymphatic system where it goes directly into the heart via the vena cava. And so once you move or circulate the lymph through the lymphatic system, it dumps into the thoracic duct, which is the largest lymphatic vessel that is connected to the circulatory system. And then it goes into the blood where it's carried to the kidneys mostly and excreted, and you will have some excretion through the bowels. And so you pee it out and you poop it out.
You pee it. Okay, that's the 2 P's. Okay.
Yep.
And okay, so okay, with that in mind, so that's good. So that was going to be another question I was going to ask. You said that not only was the lymphatic is a circulatory system, but it's also an organ. So you answered my question there. So
Right.
Thank you for that. Okay, so I want to take a little pause because I'm seeing some cues, and you guys are teachers' pets when you put the cue on there. And the first one is from Michelle that I see a cue. And if you see more questions, let me know, because I don't always get them. So if I skip yours, just write the question again, and that way I'll get to it. Okay, so Michelle asked, she just said she joined late. A very backed up lymphatic Lyme patient. What things should we do? Already doing diet.
Okay, that's a great question. Oncology is my specialty. The second is Lyme disease. And so I see this every week, almost every day in my practice. Lyme patients are extremely inflamed. Their lymphatic system is extremely compromised, much like my autistic patients. It is overwhelmed. Their lymphatic system may be functioning, or their immune system may be functioning down here, and a Lyme patient's load is way up here.
Wow.
And that is why they feel so overwhelmed. And when the inflammation gets into the brain, that's neurological Lyme, and they will have a whole nother array of symptoms. And what we have seen with those clients is that, of course, the diet matters, but certain nutraceuticals, like I use the Cowden protocol with them. But initially, when I started working with these Lyme patients with just supplements and diet, I got a little bit of benefit, but not that much. I would go, for a month or two, they would feel a little bit better, but then they would just go right back and feel worse, okay? When you do lymphatic therapy in conjunction with Dr. Cowden's low-level laser therapy using the homeopathic vials and the lasers for the Lyme and the different spirochetes that they have, or the co-infections, it's remarkable what can happen. Just with lymphatic therapy, after just 1 or 2 sessions, the patient feels much better as far as the pain, because they experience great pain. And so whether it's in their joints or it's in their brain or anywhere on their body, you will see a reduction. Typically by the 1st or 2nd, it's reduced by half, and by the 5th, it can be almost eliminated. In conjunction with the low-level laser that's called LED therapy, laser energetic detoxification, I have found it to be remarkable in helping clients. Instead of it taking a year to put them in remission, it can take 3 months. That's a huge difference, because the LED therapy is directly based upon what shows up on their Zyto test. So it has all of the co-infections and the Borrelia that they're dealing with. It's pushing it out. When you use laser and a homeopathic, it pushes that spirochete out of the red blood cells into the lymphatic system, where we then use the assisted lymphatic to kill the infection, because it emits ozone into the lymphatic system. And just the circulation through the lymph nodes at a quicker rate will allow the T cells to identify the spirochete and destroy it. And so you're just ramping up the circulation of that army faster and faster and faster, so that the pathogen doesn't take over the body. Because with Lyme is very intelligent. You start dosing with antibiotics or even with Cemento and the protocol, and they just run back up into the red blood cells, and they can multiply in the red blood cells. So as soon as you stop taking the supplements, because your symptoms all went away, here they come and they flood the lymphatic system again, and they go right back down. And so I have used a method of, I will do 10.5 days of the supplements, the whatever, if it's antibiotics, or I use more of the natural cemento and things like that, teasel. And then I'll have a day and a half off. That 10 and a half days, at the very end of that, I will do the laser on them. I will do the lymph first, followed with the laser, and have them come back 2 days later and have another lymph. You would not believe how congested they are after the LED therapy and all the debris that's stuck in their lymphatic. And so we push it out, they feel better, and this is how we can reverse Lyme so quickly.
Wow.
Mhm.
Okay, so just recently I had sent you a picture of a friend of mine,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that many people, you know, we get impatient because we want to see like things happen right away. And so
Right.
and I'm not saying that that's her, I'm just saying we as a whole, we want a quick fix, we want things to be done and over with, you know, like the quick pill or whatever. But she's been working with one of the people that you've been training or that you've trained in the past, and she said that she's done a couple of treatments and that she doesn't feel any difference at this point, and she feels that her leg is still, there's one leg bigger than the other. And so she said, how long will it take for her to feel better? That's, you know, that was the first question that she said. And she goes, how much time will it take? And then she noticed some bruising this morning. And so she didn't know if that was the treatment or if it was medications that she's using or some coils that were used. So what do you think?
Yeah, so that's a great point, because lymphedema patients are some of the toughest patients. I'm going to show you a picture. I hope you can see this. Can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what bilateral lymphedema looks like. Now, this is after doing therapy once a week for 10 months. Okay, we were able to reduce it back down to normal size, which you
But
cannot do.
that's a big ankle compared to what it looks
Right.
like 10 months later.
Right. Yeah,
But it
exactly.
probably took more than 10 months to get their ankles like that.
No, this is the
No,
case study.
I'm talking about to get them bigger.
Yes.
For the disease to take its place,
The
it
disease,
probably took a
yeah.
lifetime to make it happen, right?
Not necessarily. So there are cases with lymphedema, because lymphedema is more of a man-made disease than anything. There is
Okay.
primary lymphedema, which is inherited, and then there's secondary lymphedema, which is man-made due to radiation, surgery. Some patients will develop symptoms like this immediately after surgery, radiation. Others may take 3 to 4 years. And the reason is that the reason why they don't get help early on is because they go to the doctor and they say, oh, you know what? I feel like my ankles are swelling or my legs feels kind of puffy. And they're like, it's okay. It's no big deal. Let me give you a water pill. That's the worst thing that you can do to
Wow.
a client with lymphedema, is give them a water pill. And so they go to another doctor and they say, you know, it's getting worse and it's painful. My legs feel heavy or my arm feels heavy. And the doctor said, well, you know, I don't know what to tell you. Lymphedema is one of the most misdiagnosed and undiagnosed diseases until it hits stage 4, which can go from stage 2 to stage 4 almost overnight. And so ankles like this or arms like this can blow up very quickly, or it can take a long process. But to get it back down to a normal size, and here is 1, 2, you can see here, and here. It's lymphedema is about a session once a week. Some patients with the elephantitis, where it's large trunks, we do them twice a week, and it can take 10 months to 2 years. And so it's not a 1 to 2 session thing. Because what we have to do is that the interstitial space between the collectors and the top of the skin, okay, is widened. And so that's why they're so prone to infection, is because there's so much space, so much fluid congestion that, like I said, your T cells, your B cells, and your macrophages just can't travel through it. It's like our soldiers being stuck in quicksand and trying to get to the battleground quickly. So if you cut yourself, it gets infected. It's very dangerous. So as a practitioner, you're trying to reduce that down, and it takes several months to get that down back to a normal level, to where the collectors, if they've been cut or damaged, can reconnect to the next available lymph node. Now, lymph nodes like this, as far as we know, they don't grow back. So once they're removed, they're gone, and you're going to have a compromised immune system because of that. So people who have had massive amounts removed may need this therapy the rest of their life. Fortunately, they won't need it every week. It may get to a point where they need a maintenance of once every month or once every 3 months to maintain
Yes.
them with
Wow. Wow.
lymphedema.
Okay. So I want to look at some more questions. And I think you already talked about the infrared sauna, right? Jennifer had a question about, will infrared sauna help the lymphatic system?
It will help the lymphatic system, but it will harm a lymphedema patient. So a patient with lymphedema should not do that, because it's a vasodilator. And you don't, at that point, your lymphatic system is so congested, so swollen, you don't want to make it worse. Okay, so the lymphedema patients are not to do sauna therapy initially, maybe later in their protocol, but not initially. But for other people, it's helping to get rid of the toxins in that superficial layer, that 70% that's right underneath your skin. It's very helpful, because it takes the burden off of your kidneys as the body detoxes, because otherwise it's going to be pushed through the lymphatic system, dumped into the thoracic duct, and then peed out. When you sweat it out, you take some of that burden and you sweat, or some of those toxins you sweat through the pores of the skin, taking the burden off of the kidneys.
Oof, okay, so lots of questions, but before we answer any more questions, I just want to acknowledge my sponsors, because without my sponsors, there would be no classroom. And so I want us all to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, make sure that you become a subscriber. That way you'll know before anybody else who's the teacher in the classroom, and you'll have all the links to our teachers before anybody else does. And you also get gifts and prizes and all the wonderful things that comes with being in this tribe and a student in the classroom. And so I want to encourage you to go to whenyouneedafriend.com, become a subscriber, and like us, follow us on social media, and tag us to your friends, invite your friends to be in part of the classroom. But most importantly, oh, and of course the YouTube channel, make sure you subscribe there too, because I think there was a question that was asked, where can we get this video? This video is recording, and if you go to my Facebook page at Lillian's Radio Show and you hit like and follow whenever we come on live, you have the benefit of a teacher in the classroom where you can ask as many questions as you like, and of course, from the expert, we've checked them all out. They're highly credentialed. A lot of people get turned away, but not Dr. Jennifer Gramith. She is here to stay. And so I want to encourage you to take ownership for your life. And this is the way you do it. You say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And so because there's a cost to doing the class, we have people that have taken, organizations that have taken a stand and said, we stand beside you, such as Liberty Health Share. So there's a sponsorship button. Liberty Health Share is a sponsor of the classroom. Keep Me Safe Organics as well, and you get 10% off. And we're going to talk a little bit about Lily Rose with Dr. Gramith, who is also part of this whole organic cleansers and beauty products. First Alternative Care, which is, just make sure you go there and check them out. And Dr. Stephen Grable, who is also ACIM certified, just like Dr. Gramith, and he's in Jacksonville. He's a holistic functional alternative MD, outside the box thinker, and it's been trained by Dr. Lee Cowden as well. And we have the pharmacy in Merritt Island, starting in March, sometime this month, he is going to be doing compounds for the nation. And these are so that you don't have to take the pill and it affects your organs inside. And so I'll tell you a little bit more about the pharmacy later on, but you get 20% off if you mention my name when you call the pharmacy or use their services. Live Longer Medical is turning the inside just as beautiful as the outside. We've got ground therapy that, we just did an event at Dr. Gramith's with ground therapy and brain tap. These are two affiliate sponsors. And if you go onto my webpage and you go to those particular one, you shop now, that's a way that you help out the classroom as well. And so make sure you check out the sponsors, figure out ways that you can support our sponsors the way that they are supporting the classroom. And last but not least, you can help the classroom too. You can become an enrolled student. So click on the enrolled student button and figure out how you can give your time, your talent, your treasure, help support the classroom so that we could all grow together. Today we're talking about the lymphatic system, and I have a feeling, Dr. Gramith, that we haven't even dipped our toe into the lymphatic system.
True. Mm-hmm.
And we take it so much for granted. And, you know, you hear a lot of doctors come in and say, oh, this is the end all be all. This is the only way to heal. This is the, but the lymphatic system uses a lot of different ways to clear the system out, or to clear the system out, you can use different ways. You talked about fasting. And one of the questions that Jennifer had earlier was, how long can you fast? And we've done shows. We're going to be doing a fast together, by the way. With Dr. Lodi.
Awesome. Oh, awesome. I love Dr. Lodi. Dr. Lodi is the doctor who took my device over to Asia.
Yes.
So yeah, that's exciting. It depends on the patient and, you know, the state of health that they're at. Of course, if it was a cancer patient already losing muscle mass, you would not do a fast with those type of patients. But I do a 10-day, I do a 30-day juice fast at least once or twice a year. You can do up to 40 days very healthy if that's what you need to do. And so it just depends on the individual.
Must be supervised. Must be supervised.
Must be, yeah, it really should. If it's more than 3 days, it needs to be supervised. Yeah, because with my clients, we're having them take their blood sugar, fasting blood sugar every morning. That's a great tool. And people can get a blood glucose monitor at their pharmacy. And I will encourage every one of your listeners to do this, because probably more than, I would say, last I looked, was more than 75% of Americans walk around with pre-diabetes or diabetes and don't even know it. Okay. And so if your sugar is above 95 fasting, you know that you're pre-diabetic. If it's above 126 fasting, you're already diabetic. And so if you, like me, are a practitioner trying to help patients heal from chronic disease, but their blood sugar is spiking up, their body is in a state of chaos and inflammation, and they can't heal. What's interesting about the immune system, if you have an acute inflammatory state going on, the chronic just gets worse because it can't divide its focus. Mm-hmm. And so it's going to try to put out those fires before it helps to, you know, heal the chronic disease process that's going on. So if you are a cancer patient or heart disease and you're trying to heal from that, if your blood sugar is spiking, you can't heal from that. It's constant battle.
Amazing, amazing. And I want to encourage all of you to go to rightwayhealthandwellness.com, and that's A-N-D for the and. So that's Right Way Health and Wellness, and you can find Dr. Gramith at Woodstock, Georgia, which we just drove there. At only an 8-hour drive from where I live, but it was well worth the drive. Or you can contact her at 407-474-2100. I want to encourage all of you who are listening on podcasts, because pretty soon the podcast is going to be done, to feel free to join us on Facebook.com. Share this show, the broadcast, the classroom with your friends, because one of my takeaways today is that we could all use a lymphatic cleansing, one way, whatever suits you, but on a regular basis, because I really do believe that we are all we need to do the right thing, the right way. Like right. Dr. Gramith says, the right way, so that we can be healthy during, because even if you are healthy and you're doing the wrong things, eventually it'll catch up.
Correct.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So with that in mind, I'm just looking at the time. People that are saying this is going to take too long, I don't want to do this. What's going to happen if they don't?
That's the thing, is it builds up. And so you may have a very strong immune system right now, okay? And as you have exposures, which I guarantee you will, um, as they build up and they compile, it becomes too much for the lymphatic system, you're in the disease process.
Okay,
So you go from here to disease.
okay, so hold that thought. For those of you, we're going to have a little conversation with Dr. Gramith, all you teacher's pet who's sticking around. So stay tuned. For those of you who want to learn more, you know where to go, rightwayhealthandwellness.com. Please remember, we'll be right here waiting for you worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. This is Lillian McDermott and Dr. Jennifer Gramith wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. Good job, good job, good job.
The opinions and advice expressed on the Lillian McDermott radio show are intended for the individual callers and guests on the program and are presented to our wider audience solely for general educational purposes. Please act responsibly and consult personally with your own medical, psychological, or nutritional expert before taking any steps to improve your life.
Good, very good. I just want to say thank you to all of you who posted, because that's how we know you're there. We have Jennifer, and we had Brooke join us, Robert, Jennifer, Heather, let's see, Heather Nation, Jennifer Poser, I said it wrong, Poiser, Karen Walsh, who I absolutely adore, as well as Jennifer and Carrie Toon. She says that they have amazing results with our cancer patients with this therapy. So that's wonderful. Let's see who else. Michelle joined us, asked her question about Lyme patients. So I want to acknowledge all of you for standing up and saying, okay, I'm in the classroom today. I'm not just stealth hiding behind the numbers. So, okay, before we go today, unless you guys have questions, like this is a time that you can get to ask all your questions, and I will interrupt whatever's happening to answer your questions. So line up, because once we're done, whatever those questions are, we're done. And so one of the things that I love doing, because it's kind of scary to hear that our lymphatic system is building, and it could be thick like cottage cheese, and and that we want it flowy, and but what can we do today to make sure that none of that happens to us? So we're looking at preventative, because you talked about drinking water, we talked about rebounding, but what are some of the other things that we can do?
Right. So water is very important, and clean water is vital. And so if you are dehydrated, and I find as a practitioner that the majority of Americans out there are dehydrated. When you're dehydrated, that triggers inflammation and causes congestion. The rebounding is something that you can do that's very inexpensive, that you can do at home to stimulate your lymphatic system. Exercise on a regular basis. If you are able to get out there and move, because movement is what causes the contraction of the lymphangion and gets the lymph flowing, even the deeper lymph. Okay, so you've got to move. You can't sit behind a desk all day. Get your mind right. I think that's probably the foundation, and that's why Dr. Schrader and I started working together, because your thoughts control how your body responds. And so if you are negative all the time and you just don't think that you deserve to be well, whether it's conscious or subconscious, your body is going to respond in a very negative way. And typically we can take the symptoms that the client is experiencing, and we know the emotion, connected to that, like thyroid disease. It's when you feel like you can't speak, you're choking to death. I mean, how many of us have felt like that? It's okay to feel like that at times, but when it continues, it becomes chronic, and then your thyroid stops working. It becomes inflamed. You're diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease or hypothyroidism. So listen to your body. If you have pain, in your neck and shoulders and back, that's inflammation. Well, why do you have pain in those areas? Do you feel like like you're carrying the world on your back, or that someone is trying to control you? your mindset has everything to do with how the body responds. I have done studies with patients, and I can see congestion within 10 minutes of a stressful situation. Their perfectly flowing, healthy lymphatic system becomes thick like glue within minutes of stress. And so stress is a huge part of it. And so I think that's a lot of the issue with Americans. The EMFs that you get from these computers and cell phones and, you know, the Fitbits and things, it's constantly causing inflammation and imbalance in our body. And so as a practitioner, my whole focus is to clean up the terrain. So think of your body as like it's a garden. So if you're going to plant a garden and you wanted it to grow healthy vegetation for you, what would you do first? You would make sure that the soil is clean, that you didn't have all kinds of harmful chemicals in it that would kill the plants, right?
Yeah.
That's what you got to do. So before even taking a lot of supplementation, make sure you clean and decongest the soil, which is the terrain of your body. And then when you take the supplements, wow, it's remarkable because you can take way less. I saw this with autistic children, is they were on the DAN protocol, which is a great protocol, but the patients were coming in with suitcases full of supplements because they had such terrible gut issues. They couldn't absorb, so they had to take tons of it to get any benefit from it. I started working on them with the assisted lymphatic therapy within a short amount of time, which is less than 30 days. I was able to cut the majority of their protocol down from 50 to 70% and have better results as far as symptoms. And so it's remarkable what you can do when your lymphatic system is decongested and flowing like it's supposed to. And so I just encourage everyone to get out there, move, to put food in the body that nourishes. You're either feeding disease or you're beating it. So you have to really think about that when you pick up that food. Is this, you know, is this feeding my disorder, or is this helping me to heal? And when you shift your mindset, you'll make better choices. Other things that you can do, essential oils. I love, love, love essential oils. And so I highly recommend those of you who are concerned about the coronavirus or the flu virus, you have a compromised immune system already, to start using essential oils. The thieves or the I use thieves in my office. I have my clients and my staff put it on their hands, on the back of their neck, bottom of their feet, multiple times a day, and we diffuse it in our office. You can use ginger is amazing for decongestion of the lymphatic system. So if you have a swollen, like your friend with a swollen extremity, if she would get ginger essential oil and rub it on her leg, it would help decongest it much faster. So when she went in to get therapy, she would see a reduction. And the therapist needs to be measuring her every time, you know, so they can see the inch loss, because on average you lose a half an inch to an inch each time.
It's hard to see. It's hard to see though, you know, when it's on you. But I think she looks fabulous. I thought she looked beautiful. But you know, we ourselves are more, we want it to happen faster, but it's nice to know that it could take a while. Right. You know, and so I love this. So ginger is another thing. You're holding out on me now. Okay, so we're talking thieves. That's what I use on my hands. I don't use any of those Purell, you know, anything with alcohol in it.
You don't want to. Oils. Exactly. Those things actually disturb the natural bacteria that protects you.
Yeah.
And so we've learned through research that by using alcohol, and you're really suppressing your immune response. You're actually making yourself more susceptible to infection by using things like that. Wash your hands with soap and water. Use the thieves on your hands. That's a great thing. Take liposomal vitamin C. Vitamin C liposomal is one of the best things to knock down viruses, no matter if it's the flu or the corona, SARS, any of those. Vitamin C knocks down your viral load. If you do
massive doses, right? Massive doses,
depending on the size of the person. So yes, higher doses for sure.
Yeah, because I'm pretty small, and I can take up to 50,000 and be okay. But I don't do the liposomal. What is the difference between the you know, ascorbic acid and the
Right. There is a big difference.
Is there really?
Yeah, liposomal, it would be more like getting an IV vitamin C. And so,
Really?
yeah,
Then I've
yeah.
been doing that wrong. Okay, so liposomal. Okay.
Exactly. So liposomal would be most equivalent to an IV vitamin C. And what happens in the body, if you take too high a dose of vitamin C that's not liposomal, will cause a lot of gut issues and chronic diarrhea, and then the
Mm-hmm.
person becomes dehydrated. So you do it to bowel tolerance regardless if you're doing another type of vitamin C. But definitely I would suggest the liposomal vitamin
So
C.
you
I
don't
use
respond. You don't have to do
not
liposomal to
typically. It
bowel
takes
tolerance.
it takes massive amounts before you would start having
Well, I'm
diarrhea.
switching. I'm
Yeah.
switching. I'm switching. I love vitamin C. A lot of people don't realize we don't produce vitamin C, and so
Mhm.
we need the vitamin C. And a
That's it.
2-year-old child might need more than a
Right.
some-year-old woman. So so it depends on what the body needs. It'll absorb it and it'll work with you. So
Right.
it's I love vitamin C. I'm a Dr. Andrew Saul has been a frequent teacher in the classroom
Awesome. Yeah.
from Food
Yeah.
Matters. I don't know if any of you have. I'm not trying to name drop or anything, but isn't it wonderful to learn from people like that are the best and the best that have studied, just like you, Dr.
Amazing.
Gramith. Okay, so I've got some follow up. So is there anything else that we can do to help keep us from getting this virus?
So yeah, so definitely just the hygiene and then the essential oils. And so the other essential oils that are good, it's tea tree. Tea tree oil is great for knocking and combating bacteria and virus.
Mm-hmm.
You can use homeopathics. There's multiple homeopathics that can be used. And when in the past, when we've had epidemics, that homeopathic doctors would use them to stop these plagues. And so we can still use those today. There's the influenza homeopathic. In my practice, I use a lot of homeoprophylactis for parents who are not wanting to do regular vaccines. They're doing
Mm-hmm.
oral vaccines. And so we have all of those. And so you can
Great.
get an array. You'd have to just contact my office and I can
Yes.
tell you exactly, because there's about a list of 6 of them that
Wow.
you would need to cover the corona and also the type A flu.
Very good. Very good. Okay, so I have a couple of follow-up questions. With the treatment that you and Michelle do, the therapy, the recall, is it recall healing?
Recall healing.
Okay,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure my mind now is like, I have like 10 questions, but okay, with the recall healing, I learned a while ago in intuitive, I went to Dr. Mona Lisa Schultz. She does an
Okay.
intuitive medical class where you learn that, the past life, past traumas, they all go into your body, but they associate it with the chakras. Like depending on, what chakra you have, that is a part of the issue that you're having. So if it's in the first chakra, second chakra, and if that's where your inflammation is or dis-ease is, they can correlate it with like family issues or not. Like you talked about the fifth chakra, which is the thyroid. If you have thyroid issues, you have suppressed, you're suppressing and not speaking, you don't have a voice. But I wonder with the lymphatic system, because you talked about stress, I wonder that if in the lymphatic system, that it also holds the trauma there too.
Oh, yes, most definitely. The emotion associated with the lymphatic system is feeling stuck and devalued. And so many, many times, like this client right here with the arm, you can
Mm-hmm.
see.
Is that an actual patient of yours?
Yes, yes, this is a patient of mine
Bless their
down in
heart.
Miami. So if you met her, you would know really quick that she is very, strong and very confident, and she comes across as that, nobody can intimidate her. She struggles severely with fear. And so in order to protect herself from trauma, she develops lymphedema in her arm. and it's her dominant arm. So it's to hold people back that are trying to hurt her, to keep people away from her so that they can't see that she's fearful. And so there's always an emotional component to every disease process,
Absolutely.
always. And every symptom, you know, I've seen that as well. I had a patient who came in to see me. Actually, she brought her sister-in-law, who was a cancer patient of mine, in, and she was sitting in my office and she was rubbing her legs in excruciating pain and tears just coming down her face, and I could not do anything. So I said, ma'am, can I help you? And so I tested her, and it showed up that it was 100% emotional. I'm thinking, what? Because typically I get, it's maybe 70% emotional and 30% physical, but it was 100% emotional, and it had to do with her son. And so I said, is anything going on with your son? And she just went pale. She said, my son tried to commit suicide. He shot himself. He survived. Now he's bedridden, and he is so angry at me. Her pain and suffering was from the trauma that her son went through, and just how he treated her and how she felt so guilty that she didn't see the signs. And so we released that trap emotion, Lily, and she left there without pain. That is how powerful, if you find the root cause and you release it, that the body just heals miraculously. And so I'm every week, every month, I am blown away at the testimonies that patients and other practitioners give us. Dr. Stegall, who you saw, Carrie Toon, he is a functional oncologist here in Atlanta, just amazing doctor, that if you have cancer and you want an MD, an oncologist on your side, that's who you want to see. Because I work with the doctor in helping the patient rebuild their immune system.
That's wonderful.
They treat it. So it's just a beautiful thing to find that support team. If you don't have the support team, it's very difficult to overcome. So if you can't find the support team in your family of whatever you're dealing with, you need to look out elsewhere, and you need to get a team of people who will encourage you every single day, because the mindset, you know, is the key, most definitely, even above the lymphatic system. Because if you don't think right, your lymphatic system is not going to function properly.
I love it. I love it. And of course, last word is the toxicity, the toxic overload in our body, starting with the products we use on our skin. And I was speaking to Lauren today, and yesterday I spoke to a nurse practitioner who had been trying Lily Rose. Now, for those of you who don't know, Lily Rose is the retail version of Keep Me Safe Organics. And it's a more clinical, and it's you could be found in superior doctor offices like Dr. Jennifer Gramith at Right Way Health and Wellness. And you know, this nurse practitioner said, you know, I am in love with, you know, it's like, I'm so in love with this. I'm madly in love with this product, the mud. And she just went on and on and on. And Lauren said, oh my God, it's the best thing. So share a little bit about how you can still look good and use organic, because even if it has organic on it, the oils might be rancid, or they might be change the molecular structure, or they might have sodium lauryl sulfate. So let's talk about Lily Rose before we go, and how you've seen a change with you or anybody else.
Exactly. And this is why I love you so much, because you introduced these beautiful ladies to me. And one of my challenges as a practitioner was that, you know, I would tell people, stop putting this garbage on your body. Your skin is your largest elimination organ. And so you're putting on mascara that has mercury, you're putting on aluminum deodorant, you're shutting down your lymphatic system. And so this is part of the problem. This is why women are the ones that are most plagued with chronic disease, because we put over, you know, 250 different known endocrine disruptors and carcinogens on our body every day. But, you know, you can't tell women to stop putting this stuff on their body without giving them an alternative.
Yes.
And that was my challenge. And so when I met you and Kelly and Rebecca, and you talked to me about the product, and I used the product, because I have used a lot
Me
of
too.
natural organic, and you know, I put it on, and within 15 minutes it looks like I have nothing on my face.
Yeah.
Not that it wasn't good for me, but it didn't work for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
This stuff, oh my God, all of us here at the office are like, oh, I love this, I got it, you know, and we're always buying it and giving it away. And it is the best line of cosmetics and skincare that I have ever come across. And I support it 100% because of the way that it affects the lymphatic system. It does not cause congestion. It does not cause more toxic buildup. It is a clean, healthy product. And I would not be afraid, and I wouldn't suggest this, but I would not be afraid to eat it.
Yeah.
And I always tell people.
Let's do that the next time we get together. And here's Dr. Gramith who wants to eat the product. and we're all sitting there with ready to resuscitate you just in case.
Just in case.
Just very pure products. And I love the girls because, you know, they have created such a professional, you know, not only are they helping women by helping them get their own business started. Many women are out there, you know, wanting to be moms, or guys want to be dads, and they want to be able to have some disposable income. And, you know, Keep Me Safe Organics is a beautiful organic. Many of the products that materials that are in Keep Me Safe Organics or Lily Rose are in Keep Me Safe Organics. Lily Rose is of course, it's made for, it's almost a therapeutic, if you think about it.
Supplement. It's a supplement for your skin.
It's a supplement.
And
I like that.
So I mean, how many of us would rather put it on our skin than actually have to swallow another pill? So it is definitely a supplement for your skin.
That's right. So I interchange. I love Lily Rose. I love Keep Me Safe. And I know that either one that I choose is just wonderful. But with Lily Rose, you can only find that in retailers that are committed to help and teaching their patients how to live the life of their dreams. And so with that in mind, if you guys want to get Lily Rose, you can either contact me or contact Dr. Gramith, depending on where you're at. And we can tell you a little bit more about it as well if you're a practitioner and you want to learn more about Lily Rose. But Dr. Gramith, you're an amazing woman. I don't want to take up more of your time. And there's still the Teacher's Pets are there. Make sure that you like us, you share this, tag your friends so that they can view this. This broadcast is not only going to be posted as soon as we're done on Facebook, but it's also on YouTube. So that's why it's important that you subscribe so that you know who are the wonderful teachers in the classroom. And I tell you what, when you find a teacher who is also a friend, that's a beautiful combination. So thank you so much, Jennifer, Dr. Gramith, for being such a caring, compassionate healer, because you can't do anything unless your patients trust you and are willing to heal themselves. Any final words, Dr. Gramith, about taking your health back?
I believe, Lillian, that we all have the potential inside us. I believe that's a God-given right. We all have the potential inside us to heal. And so whatever, look at your life, and whatever is out of balance, whether it's your mental, emotional stress, it's your diet, it's just your self-sabotaging type behaviors, start working on it. You don't have to change everything overnight. Just one thing. You know, one thing to help your lymphatic system is change your cosmetic and your cleansers. Just start with that.
Easy to do.
Next thing, and you know, do that for a month and see what happens and see the changes. Then start with other things like removing known inflammatory foods from your diet, like dairy and things like that. But you just take baby steps, because we all get overwhelmed when we see this mountain above us and we're wanting to be there, we want to have that maximum health potential. We want to be on the top of the mountain screaming, yay, we did it. But we look up and we just become so overwhelmed that we just give up.
Mm-hmm.
But if we don't look at that top right then and we just take a step and a step and a step and a step, we are at the top of that mountain like that. And then we can look back and we can see what all we accomplished, and you feel it. It's a beautiful thing. And I'm so grateful for you, Lillian, that you befriended me and that I love you and I support everything that you do. And I am so grateful for people like you that have the passion and the love for their fellow American or a fellow being.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I'm just so honored. Thank you.
Gosh. Well, okay.
You're gonna make me cry.
Right back at you. Right back at you. Mirror, mirror on the wall. Who's the fairest of them all? You're looking back at, and that's what we need to understand. And I guess I got to add one more thing. We see in others who we are.
That's right.
It's really painful. It's very painful when someone doesn't see you for who you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
But ultimately, we've got to translate that because it's painful, and that pain, and I don't know if I shared this with you before, that I think 100 years ago, there was a psychiatrist that said that sadness that is not, that doesn't have weeping involved, like if you're sad and there's no tears, that if you try to suppress it and you don't cry or you don't mourn it, whatever it is, that other organs will weep. So suppress sadness that isn't released through tears will cause other organs to weep. And we've got to understand that there are people who are not happy in this world. And they will use you as their scapegoat. But we have got to, you had said this earlier, Dr. Gramith, that we've got to surround ourselves by that support system that will love us back. But ultimately, we need to love ourselves.
Yes.
Mostly.
Yes, most definitely. And when you surround yourself with that support, you start to realize, because you're getting encouraged all the time, you start to realize that you are lovable, that you are amazing. And so sometimes we need that because it's hard for us to think about that ourselves. We definitely should, because our Creator loves us so much. He made us so special, so wonderful.
Perfect. Yeah.
So learn to love yourself. And, that's probably one of the best things for your lymphatic system is love, love, love.
Yes. And even if you get hurt because you love somebody, at least you loved.
That's right.
At least you loved. And it's not who you love or it's not what you love. It's that you love.
Yep.
And so with that, we'll say goodbye to our Facebook friends and our YouTube. We'll say goodbye to Facebook and YouTube, and please share this information because, the lymphatic system has gone undetected, under the radar, and it's time to come out wherever you are and support our organs the way they need to, the way you need to support your body, love your body in any way, shape, or form, so that you can live well into 120 and just be a viable member of this society. So with that in mind, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much, Dr. Gramith. I absolutely adore you and all your team. And for those of you, go to rightwayhealthandwellness.com, and we'll see you soon. Say goodbye.
Bye.
Okay.